Hello, my name is Keshwani. That's Keshwani, Keshwani. We are here because we want to learn how to solve algebra word problems. Today we'll do problem number 147. Problem, as you can see, is already on the blackboard. Let's take a look at it, shall we? We are told that Bob puts a third of his total savings, he puts a third of his savings in a bond yielding 8%. 8%. So let's give this total savings a name, assign it a variable so that we can deal with it, and we're just going to stick with the tradition. We could call it S for the savings, but S will be difficult to write and see and so forth. Let's just call it X. So a third of his savings at 8%. A third, let's first read the problem first. We are told further that he puts a fifth of his savings, he puts a fifth in a savings account, he puts a fifth in a savings account at 5% and puts the remainder of the savings in a money market account yielding 3%. We are told further that his total return on the investment was $760 even. The question simply is, what was his investment in the three accounts? If you like, you can solve this problem yourself first, and then we'll do it together. I'll get out of your way to give you unobstructed view for about 5 seconds for you to be able to pause and unpause the video. Do it yourself first. Whenever you can, always make a point of pausing the video and doing the problem first. You will find that you will always learn more by having done the problem first yourself. Do you understand? And then you compare your work against the work that we'll do together. So let's begin. He puts a third of his savings, so let's call the savings X. He puts a third at 8%. 8% means over 100. So this is how much he earns from the first account. We are further told that he puts a fifth in an account that gives him 5%. A fifth in an account, a fifth of X, that is. Just write that as X over 5. A fifth of his savings amount at 5%, 5 over 100. And then finally we are told that he puts a remainder of the money, his savings, in a money market account yielding 3%. How much is the remainder? Well, we have to figure out a third and the fifth. So the total is 1. You take out a third and you take out a fifth, because he has a third here and a fifth there. We have to find the common denominator. Common denominator is going to be 15. So we have to write this as 15 over 15 if you like. And this is, multiply this by 5 over 5 and multiply this by 3 over 3. So now everything has a denominator of 15. So we end up with 15 at the denominator, and we end up with 15 minus 5 minus 3. I'm making too much fuss, I know that. Turns out that the remainder amount that you're talking about is 715. Turns out that the remainder of the amount that we're talking about is 7/15 of his savings. And he puts that 7/15 of the savings, 7x over 15, at what percent? At 3% times 3 over 100. And when he does that, we are told that his return is $760. $760. I left very little room for myself to work here at the very end. We're going to have to squeeze things there. Let's rewrite this part. So 7x over 15 times 3% at 3%, which is 3 over 100. And that is, the return is 760. First thing we notice is that all of these four quantities rather, they have different denominators. This one has a denominator of 3 times 100, which is 300. This term has a denominator of 500. This term has a denominator of 1500. And this term right here on this side has a denominator of only 1. It will make our life easier if we had the same denominators for all the terms throughout the equation. If the entire equation has the same denominator, that denominator ceases to play any role, that denominator ceases to be significant. We can just ignore it. Makes our life easier that way. We don't have to deal with the denominator. That's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to give them a common denominator. Question is, how do we convert a denominator of 300 into 1500, because 1500 is going to be the common denominator of 15 times 100, 1500, 500 and 300. How can we make this 300 into a 1500? It's very simple. Take this first quantity and multiply it by 5 over 5. There we go. Now the first term has a denominator of 1500. This one is 500, meaning 1500 multiplied by 3 over 3. This one already has a denominator of 1500. We need to make this denominator of 1500, so multiply the top and the bottom by 1500. Now as you can see, the entire equation has a denominator of 1500. We can ignore the denominator now. It does not play any role anymore. So let's get going. So we have 5 times x times 8, 5 times x times 8, 5 times 8 is 40. So we get 40x plus 3 times x times 5. 3 times 5 is 15 times x is 15x plus 7 times 3 is 21, 21x, and that has to equal 760 times 1500. Let's see what we can do here. 40 plus 10 would be 50, 50 plus 5 is 55, 55 plus 20, 55 plus 20 would have been 65, 75, 75 plus 1 is 76. So we get 76x here. Isn't that nice? We get 76x. I'm going to write it here so because we have more room. 76x on this side, and here we have 760. I'm going to write the 760 as 76 times 10. 76 times 10 is our 760 times 1500 times 1500, which I'm going to write that as 15 times 100. Okay, we'll see that in a second why. So that's all there is. That's all there is. So now we have 76 on this side, 76 on this side. Let's divide the entire equation by 76. That is to divide both sides of the equation by 76. 76 is going to disappear, and our x is simply 15 times 10 times 100. 10 times 100 is 1000. So it turns out that x is 15,000. X is 15,000. As far as the problem is concerned, we are done. But we're going to take a few seconds to verify our work, make sure that our answer is correct. And the verification that we're going to do is going to be on the top here because we need the room. So let's erase all of this thing. Remember, a third is right here, and a fifth, and 7/15. A third at 8%, a fifth at 5%, 7/15 at 3%. So let's do that, okay? I'm not going to write everything out. I'm just going to explain to you, because if we started writing everything, it's going to be annoying. It's going to be annoying. So a third of 15,000. 15,000, a third of that is 5,000. So 5,000, we're going to earn. We'll invest 5,000 at 8%. 5,000 at 8%. But we know that 8%. We know that 8% of 100 is 8. If 8% of 100 is 8, it stands to reason that if 8% of 100 is 8, then 8% of 1,000 must be 80. If 8% of 1,000 is equal to 80, we don't have 1,000, we have 5,000. So 8% of 5,000 should be 5 times as much, which is 400. Again, I'm going to have to erase all of this thing, or we can continue here. Plus, we have a fifth here, a fifth of 5,000. A fifth of 5,000 is 3,000. So we have $3,000 invested at 5%. Well, that's pretty straightforward actually. 3,000 at 5%, 10% of 3,000, 10% of 3,000 would have been 300, so 5% is going to be 150. Let's erase this thing, we need the room. So this amount turns out to be 400, this amount we just said is 150, and finally we have 7/15 of 15,000. 7/15 of 15,000. Well, 7/15 to 50,000 is very easy. because 1/15th of 15,000 is just 1,000. Because the 15 is going to cancel out, it's just 1,000. 1/15th of 15,000 is 1,000, so 7/15 is going to be 7,000. So we have 7,000 at 3%. 7,000 at 3%, and the logic is same as before. 7,000 at 3%. We know 3% of 1,000 is 30. 3% of 1,000 is 30. We don't have 1,000, we have 7,000. So 3% of 7,000 is going to be 30 times 7, which is 210. 210. And now we add up the figures. This is the amount he earned in the first account. This is the amount that he earned in the second account. This is the amount that we are earning in the third account. When we add up these three figures, we hope and pray to God that it adds up to what the problem tells us. The problem tells us that he earned a total of $760. So let's see what he earned. 400 plus 150, actually we can do it right here. 400 plus 100 is 500, 500 plus 200 is 700, 500, 400 plus 100 is 500, 500 plus 200 is 700, 700, and then 50 and a 10 is 60. There you go. Total is 760, which is exactly what the problem tells us, which means that our answer is correct. He invested a total of $15,000 in these three accounts. Bye now.